So wanted to make this video today for those of you who maybe are a little bit newer to music theory or jazz theory or even just jazz itself and get a little bit frustrated with when jazz musicians throw out all these fancy music theory terms and just assume that you know what they mean. So today I want to talk about the modes of the major scale, go over scale formulas, how they work, how to think about them. That's coming right up. Alright, what's up? Brent here from LearnJazzStandards.com, which is a blog, a podcast, and videos all geared towards helping you become a better jazz musician. Make sure you subscribe below if you have not done so already to get locked into everything that we have going on here. So the modes of the major scale, why are they important to know? They're important to know because they will help you understand your instrument better, they'll help you understand major harmony better, and yes, in jazz, you can use some chord scale theory stuff to help you conceptualize chords, and while you don't want to use that exclusively to improvise, it can be a helpful way to use pitch collections to figure out what notes you can use over certain chords. For example, over a major 7 flat 5 chord or sharp 11 chord, you can play the Lydian mode. So in this video, it's actually an excerpt from my companion course to my ebook, Zero to Improv, which again is really just for those who don't know much about music theory, a kind of ground up approach. And so this comes from one of the lessons where I just go over the major modes, what they are, spell it out for you. And at the end, I'm gonna come back and give you a little bit of a call to action, a little homework assignment for lack of better terms. So let's do this.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's jump into this lesson today. I'm going to give you an overview of this chapter, this section of the chapter, and then we're going to move on to your call to action, your assignment. So chapter 1 again, we're on modes of the major scale. This starts on page 12 and goes through 27. Okay, now let's quickly go over the basics here. What is a mode in case you have no idea what that is? If you've never heard of that, makes no sense to you. Let's go over my definition here. Essentially, a mode is a type of scale. Mode comes from the Latin for manner or method, but the names of them are Greek because that's where they originated from. That's where all those names you're about to hear come from, so keep that in mind. Each mode is related to its parent major scale, or it's called the Ionian. And you can think of each mode as starting and finishing on a different tone of the parent scale. Now, if you don't understand that yet, don't worry, it's going to be made clear if you're not familiar with this stuff already. But really quickly, let me talk about why I think modes are important. So far in this book, we haven't really gone over anything very musical, have we? Right? So far, it's very foundational music theory stuff we need to know to understand our instrument. But remember, this is Zero to Improv. We're learning how to improvise from the ground up, and these are important foundational elements. Modes do come up in jazz harmony, right? You know, we have the Dorian mode and the Lydian mode are especially important because those come up time and time again, but you will, you know, have the Locrian mode in there, especially when we get to chapter 3, we talk about chord scale theory stuff. It can be very helpful, okay? So know that you're doing good stuff here. Let's go on and talk about them now. The Ionian is the first mode of the major scale, starts on the first scale degree, and you should be familiar with this one already. Now, remember, all these are in the key of concert C, bass clef people. You have your bass clef version in your book, but we're looking at this for now. So concert C, it's a C major scale, is Ionian. Right, we're familiar with that scale at this point. I've got the interval formula, the scale tone formula, all that stuff, but you should know that. So in the key of concert C, a C major scale is Ionian. But where it gets more interesting and where we start to understand modes better is when we move on to Dorian, which is the second mode of the major scale. Okay, and you can think of this best by just thinking about it as you are starting the major scale on the second scale degree. And if you start and end on that scale degree, you now have a Dorian mode. So what is the second note in a C major scale? It's a D natural, right? So if we're starting and ending the scale on a D natural, as you can see notated there, it sounds like this. You can hear that minor sound there. That's a D minor chord I just played over top of that. So that's the Dorian mode. Now, I don't think that it's necessary to make it too complicated. I do have, again, the intervallic formula, the scale tone formula. You can think about it more mathematically like that. I like to just think about the parent scale, which is the Ionian. So I'm thinking about the C major scale, but starting on the 2nd degree, and that's Dorian. So moving on, Phrygian is the 3rd mode of the major scale, starts on the 3rd degree. So, right, the same way as Dorian started in the 2nd mode, now we're starting on the 3rd tone. So in the key of concert C, the 3rd mode of the C major scale is E. E is the starting note, so E Phrygian. So it sounds like this. Right? Okay, so E Phrygian. So that is the concept basically behind this. It's not that hard, right? If you start and end on that given scale tone, you can make it up. You can make up that mode. Phrygian is just the 3rd. Okay, again, scale tone formula there, but that might be a little more complicated for you. But if it does help you, feel free to memorize that scale tone formula. Okay, Lydian is the 4th mode. Okay, Lydian is actually one of the more important modes when it comes to jazz, so pay attention to this one. Starts on the 4th degree, right? So now it's the 4th degree in the key of concert C, it's F. So now we're starting the C major scale on F and ending it on F. Right, that's the Lydian mode. Okay, let's move on. I don't want to spend too much time on each one of these. Mixolydian, another really important one in jazz, is the 5th mode of the major scale. So we're starting on the 5th degree. Let me jump down an octave here on my guitar. So we're starting on G and ending on G. Okay, and this really comes into that dominant 7 sound. Okay, but we'll go over that in chapter 3 as well. Okay, so that's the Mixolydian mode. It's the 5th degree. And moving on to Aeolian, this is the 6th mode. We also call this the relative minor. Okay, the relative minor. And what is that going to be in the key of C? That's going to be an A Aeolian. So we start and end on A. Again, we're still doing the C major scale here. Okay, you might recognize that as well as just being a natural minor scale. That's why they call it the relative minor. Okay, Locrian, this is the last one. Locrian is the 7th and last mode of the major scale. Starts on the 7th scale degree. Okay, so just think of it as a major scale starting on what we call the leading tone, which is the preceding tone, the last tone of the scale. So we're going to start it on B in this case. Right, it's kind of that more spooky sounding mode there, that spooky sounding scale. All right, so that is the concept of modes. Okay, now what I want you to do is take a look in your book. I want you to challenge yourself, your knowledge of modes.
All right, so here's what I want you to do with this information if you're completely new to the modes, or even if you're not new to the modes but feel like I could probably know them a little bit better. In the video, I only covered them in the key of concert C, right? So what I want you to do is on a piece of paper, just start writing down random modes. C sharp Lydian, D Mixolydian, you know, things, just random note names, random of the modes, you know, B Locrian or B flat Locrian, right, instead, something different. And then what I want you to do is once you have a big list of them, I want you to start playing through each one of them to make sure you understand the concept, to make sure you're able to play these in other keys, because ultimately that's what's kind of give you freedom and make sure you really know these modes. So I want you to do that as a little assignment. If you want, hey, let me know how it goes in the comments below. Tell me what you think, or is there another way that you think about modes or have some exercises for practicing the modes? Go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. So hope this video is helpful for you today, guys. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.